The war was over, and from his throne, Aragorn watched the sunlight touch the white city, bright, flawless, and fragile. Yet in the quiet beneath the cheers, he felt it, a shadow that peace could not banish, a whisper of kings who had failed before him. Victory had crowned him. Now came the harder test, to rule. Before we continue further, if you could take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel, it would mean the world and help us share more tales of Arda. Now, let's return to the story. Chapter 1: The Weight of Crowns. Aragorn, son of Arathorn, Elessar Telcontar, king of the reunited realm, breathed deeply of the morning air. Around him, the bells of Minas Tirith rang out in slow, solemn rhythm, echoing down the tiers of the city like waves breaking upon stone. Yet peace, though dearly bought, was not easily worn. He felt it, the silence after storm, the stillness after long battle. It was not rest, but reckoning. He touched the pommel of Andúril, flame of the west, resting now at his side more as symbol than sword. Its steel gleamed faintly in the sun, but the hand that gripped it trembled with memory. Of Pelennor, of the Black Gate, of faces now gone into the west or beneath the earth. Victory, he murmured, and yet what victory leaves a man unscarred? Behind him came a voice, warm yet grave. My lord, the people await your word. They would hear the king speak of what is to come. Gandalf stood there, white as the morning, though the weight of ages seemed at last to ease upon him. Aragorn turned, his gaze softened by affection. Words are a lighter burden than deeds, Mithrandir, yet I find both heavy upon me. Then bear them as you bore all else, said the wizard, with patience and the faith that light is not diminished when shared. He smiled faintly. Do not think that peace is an end, Elessar. It is only another road. The king inclined his head. Then let us walk it. And so began the reign of the king returned. The streets of Minas Tirith bloomed once more with color and laughter. Gardens were tended in the courts where once stood only rubble, and the laughter of children replaced the cries of battle. But even amid such joy, a shadow lingered, faint as smoke after fire, yet insistent. For the city of kings was old, and its stones had memory. Chapter 2: Whispers Beneath the White City. At night, when the torches burned low, and the moon cast her silver veil upon the walls, Aragorn would wander the silent halls of the citadel. He would pause before carvings of ancient kings, their eyes set in cold stone, their crowns heavy with dust. The air there was chill, as though breath itself hesitated to linger. It was on such a night that he first heard it, a whisper, faint and fleeting, carried on the wind through the empty corridors of the House of the Kings. Elessar, it breathed, the syllables drawn like smoke. He turned swiftly, his hand upon his sword, yet no living thing stirred in the shadows. Only the echo of his own heartbeat answered him. He told no one, not even Arwen, who now dwelt with him in the high chambers overlooking the Anduin. She had spoken softly of dreams, of elven foreboding, of the memory of Númenor that still ran deep in the blood of kings. You are of their line, she had said once, and so the sea still calls you, even here in the mountains. But this voice was no call of the sea. It was older, and it carried sorrow. Days passed, and still it haunted him. When he looked into the mirror of the fountain court and saw the reflection of the white tree blooming under starlight, he sometimes thought he saw another face beside his own, pale, proud, and weary. The face of a king who had ruled before him, perhaps, one who had failed. He began to question whether peace could truly erase the shadow of all that had come before. A throne may be mended, he thought, but can a kingdom forget? He wondered if the line of kings carried not only honor, but the ghosts of their mistakes, that in every ruler's heart lay the seed of both light and ruin. Chapter 3: The Hall of Kings. One evening, as the last light of day faded from the citadel, Aragorn descended into the tombs beneath the Hall of Kings. The guards did not follow. By his order, none ever did. The torches burned low in their sconces, casting long, uncertain shadows upon the ancient walls. The air was thick with the scent of dust and stone and the faintest whisper of old incense. He walked among the marble sarcophagi, tracing the names carved upon them: Ernur, Denethor, Acthelion, Mardil, and further still until the letters grew faint with age. Each name bore the weight of centuries, of choices made and battles fought. So many thrones, he thought, and yet so little peace. Before the tomb of Ernur he paused longest, the last king of Gondor before the Long Stewards, lost to the shadow of Minas Morgul, his pride leading him to doom. Aragorn felt the chill of that tale as though it were his own. "Is this what it means to be king?" he whispered. "To rule until the past devours you?" From the darkness beyond the torchlight, a voice spoke, not loud but near. "You ask what all kings ask, yet none have answered." Aragorn turned, his breath caught. There was no figure, no form, only a sense, a presence woven of memory and wind. "Who speaks?" he demanded, though his tone was hushed, reverent. "I am the silence that follows rule," the voice said. "I am the crown's shadow. You wear me, though you know it not." He steadied himself. "If you are memory, then speak. Of what was, teach me what must not be repeated." The darkness seemed to breathe. "The kings before you thought their reign eternal. They forgot that the throne is not an heirloom, but a burden, one that grows heavier when peace is won. Rule, Elessar, not as a conqueror, but as a healer. The wounds of war are not in stone or crown, but in the hearts of those who live beneath them." And then it was gone. Only silence and the flicker of flame upon stone. Aragorn fell to one knee, head bowed. "Then may I learn to heal," he said, "though it take all that I am." Chapter 4: The Healer King. In the months that followed, Gondor flourished under his hand. The sick were tended, the poor given shelter, and the lands beyond the Anduin began to bloom anew. The king himself would often walk among his people, cloaked not in splendor but in humility. He laid hands upon the wounded, and they spoke of a light that seemed to flow from him, the gift of the true kings of old. Yet within him lingered a quiet unease. He had seen shadows where others saw none, and though he no longer heard the whisper in the tombs, its words had taken root. Rule as healer. But healing, he found, was not without pain. Arwen saw it too. "You bear more than the realm, Estelle," she said gently one evening as they walked beside the fountain. "You bear the weight of every choice that was and every choice yet to come." He smiled faintly. "Such is the gift of men." "Then may you see it as a gift indeed," she replied, For unlike elves, your time is brief, and that makes each deed eternal." He looked upon her then, and for a moment the shadow lifted. The wind carried the scent of blossoms, and the white tree shone like a star reborn. Yet, in his heart, Aragorn knew that the crown would never sit easily, that every light in Middle-earth cast its own shadow, and his task was not to banish it, but to walk within it, unafraid. Chapter 5: Legacy of the King. Years later, when his hair had silvered and the realm knew peace unlike any since the Elder Days, Aragorn would walk once more among the tombs. This time he did not come in fear, but in remembrance. The torches burned brighter now, and no whispers came. Only the silence of contentment, as if the stones themselves were at rest. He laid his hand upon the tomb of Eärnur and spoke softly. "You were not forgotten. None of us are, so long as we remember the cost of pride." And as he turned back toward the light of the upper halls, he knew that kingship was not measured in crowns or conquests, but in the quiet courage to endure, to lead, to heal, and to pass on hope unbroken. Above, the bells of Minas Tirith rang once more, clear and golden in the dawn. The white tree trembled in the breeze, scattering petals like stars upon the wind. And the voice that had once haunted him was gone, leaving only peace, the kind born not of victory, but of understanding.